Welcome to 2 Cents Short of a Dollar, the show where we give our 2 cents and keep it 100. We're your hosts. That's Motiz. I'm Rue. Feels like we've been gone for a little minute, but back, and we got some, popping news right now. A lot going on with these undisputed champions. So we got, I believe, Canelo versus Jermell Charlo. They had the press. They had the presser. I think one was in New York, one was in LA, similar to the Spence Crawford, the setup of Spence and Crawford's pressers. So did you get a chance to see the pressers, and if so, did anything stand out to you?
Yeah, I've seen both presses. Nothing really out of the ordinary. Respectful.
Yeah.
I know Canelo typically wants to be respectful. Of course, he had the one hiccup with Caleb Plant, right? With the Madre, right? Mother incident. But outside of that, nothing really out of the ordinary. It just seemed like both fighters are kind of excited to kind of be there. Of course, Jamel's excited to get this opportunity to, get his payday. So, and Canelo was just like, you know what? He's finding a fighter. He got the advantage because the fighter's coming up to weight classes to fight him, even though they're comparable or comparable in size.
Yeah.
Of course, it's different fighting at that weight class, right? So Canelo does have that advantage, which I think he knows. So.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it was kind of boring. There was no real standouts to me. I was actually kind of shocked at how respectful it was. Not that fighters don't have respect for one another, but it's like well documented that Jermall Charlo's been trying to fight Canelo for a while. But I feel like the same kind of holds for Jermell when they were all at 54. Jermell was someone who wanted the Canelo fight as well, but like Jamal went up to 60 when Canelo went up to 60, was rumored to go up to 68, where Mel kind of stayed at 54. But I feel like Mel has been, wanting the Canelo fight for a while too, if he could have. He just didn't continue to go up in weight classes. So I thought he would have been a little bit more, like, I've been chasing you somewhat, you know what I'm saying? Or even somewhat just for my brother, something like that. But it was real respectful. Mel seems really locked in and just like focused on handling business.
Yeah.
And I think there's just like a lot in his mind. Unfortunately, you can never overlook an opponent, and definitely not an opponent as good as Canelo Alvarez. But I think Mel is so locked in on this because of like what comes next, if that makes sense.
Yeah, with the Crawford fight, he has a lot going on. But to be honest, I feel like he believes the Canelo fight is probably more important than the Crawford fight. If I'm being honest.
Yeah. I'm sure he believes that.
Yeah, so he feels like at that point, if he beats Canelo, in his mind, it don't matter who he faces. Even if he loses to Crawford, it's like, bro, I went up 2 weight classes and beat arguably the face of boxing. So.
Nah, I only think the Crawford thing is on his radar. It's a little bit of like Call of Duty-esque, like you killed my brother, you must kill. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit of like get back for the gang
Yeah,
per
of course.
se. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little bit of, all right, I got something for you. So, but I definitely think to him the Canelo fight is more important. It's going to be the biggest payday, and it's just going to be. I think he'll get more credit for beating Canelo than beating Crawford. To be honest with you. So that'll be like a great feat if he can actually defeat Canelo. Now, when they actually stood, face to face, like I know you said they look similar in size. Of course, Jermell's taller,
Right.
But were you at all shocked by how comparable they look? Let's say in terms of bulk.
No, not really. It's kind of what I expected.
Yeah.
But like I said before, it's just different when someone's been fighting at 168 and moving up to 175 compared to someone that's been fighting at 154, right? Like when you're in the ring, you got to take the punishment too. You can probably dish it out, but can you take that punishment? Can you take those hits? And I think that goes further. And you know what I always say, punching power goes further than size. And we see it happen time and time again. Whoever's the bigger puncher naturally just has the advantage. You know what I mean? And we see it throughout all boxing fights.
Yeah. But I guess in this case, like I would have to just think right now Canelo's the bigger puncher. But could it be a situation where we know Mel's a big puncher as well, and him, may be closer to his natural weight? Do you think that can add something to his punching power, or do you think his punching power will be relative to what it's always been?
I think it'll add more to his punch power, but the difference is, can he take it though? That's
for sure.
And I don't think he's going to be able to take it compared to what we've seen with Canelo. We know Canelo got a granite chin. And if I had to put money up, I'm pretty sure if they went blow for blow, Canelo's going to be the victor, right?
Yeah.
So I think Jermell's best bet is to try to outbox Canelo, but is he going to be comfortable moving around and not gas out with the extra added weight?
Yeah,
Will he
yeah.
not be as light on his feet, right? That plays a big part. So, I mean, we just got to wait and see. But in terms of, I think his punching power will translate to 168.
Yeah.
But, if we're doing it kind of mathematically, how much of a difference will that make against someone that can really take punches?
Right, right, right.
So,
Now, even though Canelo can really take punches, definitely, has a great chin. I think sometimes you got to have enough just to keep him honest. You know what I'm saying? Just where he's just not like, this is nothing. I'm gonna walk through it. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not necessarily the threat of knocking him out, but you just got to be able to keep him honest. Kind of like what Caleb Plant couldn't do later in the fight. You know what I'm saying? You just got to be able, like, I'm talking about like surviving. I don't know if Jermell's gonna win here, but I'm saying, and you don't want the Amir Khan situation where you're just like, you really can't hurt me, so I'm gonna just take it, and so you just gotta have something to keep him honest to be able to say, okay, you know what, I respect that. I can't just walk through this, you know what I'm saying? And I can see Mel with that, his pretty strong jab as well, you know what I'm saying? And then the other thing too is depending on Mel's athleticism and how well he can move, sometimes Canelo gets frustrated wanting to, like, he doesn't really want to chase people. He just wants you to like stay there in front of him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, I mean, it's going to be an interesting fight to see. That's going to be a big thing. Of course, what each corner can see, what kind of adjustments they can make. I know Mel's corner right now is probably, I know Derrick James is taking a bit of slander for the Spence fight, but my personal opinion, when they were replaying, like the side, I heard, Derrick James giving Spence some kind of like advice that I didn't necessarily see Spence following. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I've been seeing some slander on the internet recently, like, oh, where was Derrick James's plan B? Oh, Derrick James ain't all that. You know what I'm saying? So
Antonio Tarver, and I think it's definitely unwarranted because you
yeah,
can't blame the coach for necessarily what the fighter don't do, right? Like, especially if he's giving him instruction. I ain't gonna lie, Spence was at a point where he was just like, he was out of it. Come back, he was getting dropped. Psychologically, he was just reverting back to his natural instinct just to fight. So, he was in there just to like, let me just go ahead and just grind it out. F what Derrick James is telling me.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to fight. It was going through one ear out the other. So you can't blame the coach.
Right.
Some people, this he was a great coach prior to this, and now all of a sudden, from one loss, now he's a terrible coach. But you know how people are,
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes people lose brain cells from, getting caught up in the moment. So